Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Create Your Greats, How to Create Your Dream Career podcast, the solo mini edition. So, a lot of us go through times in our career where we feel stuck, we feel stagnant, we feel like we're not moving or getting the movement that we want to see. And I'm so curious, and as I grow and build out my coaching business, my career coaching business, and help people take ownership of their career and create that dream career, create the fulfillment that they want. Well, first of all, I continue to meet a lot of people who are struggling in their careers and feel stuck. And I spend a lot of time and energy wanting and trying and working to understand why that is. Why are people stuck? Why are people frustrated? Why are people stagnant? And I went through that a couple times in my career. And I always say this, I was never miserable in a job. I had a couple of roles that I didn't particularly care for that much. And I had management issues, but I was never miserable, but I felt, a little stagnant. And I remember the reasons why, and maybe I'll get into those a little bit in this edition, but I want to just talk more in general terms of things that I'm hearing and learning. And that I'd love to get feedback on, because if you're stuck and you're stagnant, it really helps to understand why, and to understand, of course, and most importantly, so what can you do to get out of that? Why are you stuck? And then when you know why you're stuck or not feeling like your career is moving in the direction or at the pace or both of those, what at the pace that you want, what are you going to do about it? And it really helps to understand why, whether it's a management or an issue with the boss, or you're not doing something that you're good at, you're not doing something that you get a lot of joy out of, you have other outside commitments, the team dynamics aren't good, whatever the case might be. So one of the first, and so let's look at a couple of these. And one of the very common ones or reasons why we're stuck in a job is because, we're comfortable. And I want you to think about this a little bit. Think about, and what that can mean and how you can unpack that, because there's a couple layers to it. And at first somebody might say, well, why is being comfortable in a job stuck? Well, you can be stuck because you've gotten comfortable in a situation because maybe the salary, it allows you to pay all your bills, and that's your primary focus, right? But meanwhile, you're not getting a lot of fulfillment out of the work itself, out of the job itself. So you're making some decent money or enough money to pay your bills and maybe even do some other things that you like or enjoy outside of work, but you're not getting any fulfillment. So you feel you're not rewarded emotionally, mentally through your job. You're rewarded financially and you're paying your bills, but you're not rewarded emotionally. So therefore, in your heart and your soul and in your mind, you're not realizing fulfillment. So you feel stuck, you feel stagnant, right? So that could be one. And, it's not just the financial side, but when you think about your responsibilities and obligations, around, okay, so a mortgage and there's a payment there, but when you have a house, it's more of the overall story we tell ourselves. You have a home, you have a family, you have children, you have other obligations and your job, because you've been there a while and because you have a set schedule or routine that you're used to, you don't want to disrupt that, because the rest of your life, the home, the family, things that you take care of, your other responsibilities, believe me, I get it. And forget for a moment that I don't have kids. I get it. All my friends, my lifelong friends, so many of my family members, people I'm really close with who all been married or are married with kids and mortgages, and I see it up close, and I get it. Priorities change when you take those things on, when you have children, when you have a home, your priorities change, and understandably so. But we tend to, and I'm speaking broadly about people in general, but many people tend to get comfortable and settle into routines, because they have these other responsibilities, and their initial gut instinct or inclination is to keep those going, keep those moving forward, which includes paying for them, which includes having time to do them, which includes working on a schedule that fits between job and home life and job and personal life. So you get comfortable in a routine and in a job that fits and allows you to keep up with all the other obligations and responsibilities that you have, but yet, kind of like the first notion that I mentioned around the financial obligations and a salary that allows you to pay your bills, you're comfortable, but you're not fulfilled. So therefore you feel stuck. And we don't put enough, because of how fast-paced life is and because of all those responsibilities you might have, you're not stopping to think about the reasons why you're feeling stuck. All you may know is that you're leaving the office, right? You leave the office and you're not feeling all that jazzed. You're not feeling all that rewarded. You're like, what did I do all day? Or, maybe even not that dramatically. You're just saying, yeah, I just want to get out of here and go home. Like, this wasn't very rewarding or exciting, or I didn't do anything that really lifted me up today, lifted my spirits. And you know what? I'm looking forward to going home or going to the gym or going to dinner or having dinner and watching TV later. And you're getting no fulfillment out of the job, so you feel stuck and stagnant. And we gloss over, and we're not realizing the reason I'm stagnant right now is because I'm too wedded to all the other obligations and responsibilities in my life. And my job right now, that paycheck that I get deposited into my account every other week, guess what? It allows me to pay my bills. The fact that I can leave early from work a couple days a week, it allows me to go to these other events or pick up my kids or go to my kids' games or, go work out or go meet up with friends. So we just get comfortable and situated in routines, and we don't even realize, really why we're not getting fulfillment out of our jobs. All right. So those are two of the biggest, most common reasons why deep down, or when you unpack things a little bit, somebody is not fulfilled and not rewarded and feeling stuck. Another big piece is just flat out fears. Fears and stories and negative self-talk. And there are, just like all these angles or all these topics of reasons why people feel stuck, there's multiple layers to this. So just to hit on them high level for now, and could always revisit these, and I'm always available for questions and to discuss these at a much deeper level. But, we are wired as human beings to have fears. It's what keeps us safe. It's what keeps us alive, right? Because through evolution, that's how we were originally wired. And we lived for thousands and thousands and thousands of years just looking to fit in and stay alive. And now it's only been some decades that we've been in work environments and jobs. So we're just in a blip. We are just in a blip. This is not how our brains are wired. We're wired to have fears running through us and negative self-talk, judgment, criticism. So anyway, these fears and negative self-talk and stories that we tell ourselves lead us to wanting to create a situation where we're safe in our jobs. And we're not apt to take a chance to make a change to create a more rewarding situation for ourselves when it comes to our job or career. We stay safe because that's how we're wired. We are fearful of the risks and that change will bring. So we stay in a job even though we're not fulfilled, even though we're not getting a lot of reward out of it emotionally and mentally, and we feel stuck. So that's how fears and self-talk and negative beliefs and beliefs, period, stories that we've been conditioned to believe for years, that you got to go to college, you got to graduate, you got to get a job, you got to move up the ladder a little bit, you got to meet your significant other, you got to get married, you got to buy a house, you got to have children, you got to have a job that pays the bills and live happily ever after. And we stay in those safe swim lanes. And when we're not fulfilled and we're not really getting a lot of reward out of our jobs, we don't make the changes we need to because we're afraid of risk. We don't want to put any of that in jeopardy. So we're stuck. And then there's the more tactical. The last point I'll share in this session is, is poor management and bosses. A big reason people feel stuck in their jobs is, poor management, poor bosses who don't empower us, who don't empower employees, who don't give opportunity. Now, here's the key, okay, because that happens, and I've had bosses like this. But here's the key. It doesn't matter, all right? This is a reason why people feel stuck, because of poor management, poor leadership, and poor bosses. To be frank, shitty, crappy bosses. But here's the thing. You got to get it out of your head. It doesn't matter because you own it. This is one thing I will tell you right now as far as a solution. You have to own it. And one thing that has to shift is a mindset shift from I'm blaming people around me, including my boss, to I'm going to own it. I own my career, and anything that takes place is a result of my decisions and my actions and nobody else's. If you have a crappy boss, you have to make a change. If your boss isn't empowering you, if your boss isn't giving you opportunity, if your boss isn't recognizing and acknowledging the good stuff that you do, if your boss doesn't have your back, if your boss doesn't put you in position to succeed, you need to make a change. But not enough people do. And I went through this. I went through all these scenarios. I wouldn't talk about it like this if I had it. I went through these scenarios where I stayed comfortable, I stayed safe, I let my fears get the best of me, I complained and bitched and moaned about bosses, I made excuses, and I stayed stuck. And we have to switch and flip the narrative and take ownership, and we're not going to stay in those situations. You don't have to be combative about it. You know, you do everything you can to, communicate, to share, to solve, to bring solutions to those crummy situations. And if it doesn't work, you move on. So those are several of the main and most common, and there's others, there's like geographical things like I'm not really happy in my job, but I want to stay here, that I'm close to family, or my husband or my wife has a good job, and, we're not moving anytime soon, or, my kids are in good schools. I mean, the list goes, there's so many reasons why people can feel stuck, but I just hit on a few of the main ones. And I ask you, I put you to task, call to action. Think about if you are one of the people who feels stuck or stagnant in your career. And again, this does not have to mean you're miserable. This does not, I'm not saying, maybe you are, maybe you know somebody who is. Some people are flat out miserable. But there's a lot of people who are just kind of content and safe, and they're stuck, and they're okay with it. They're okay enough with it to stay in that same position. So I send you and give you a call to action is to, if you feel stuck or stagnant in any way, even just a little bit, ask yourself why. Write down the reasons and ask why again, a second and a third time. Because why do I feel stuck? Because I don't like my boss. Okay, why don't you like your boss? Well, I don't like my boss because he or she doesn't give me opportunity. Okay, why doesn't he or she give me up? And drill down and keep asking yourself why, all right? And understand it so that you know where it's coming from, you know its origins, and there's a whole other layer of this I can go into about whether it's our ego, whether we're creating it, whether it's truly coming out of somebody else and we just need to own it and take action. But at least get that awareness and understanding, all right? And it'll help you know the depths of your stuck situation, and it'll start to trigger solutions. When you understand and you have awareness and you combine that with accountability and ownership, that's when you get into solution mode. Okay, what can I do to fix this? You got to get out of the blame, out of the excuses, and of those modes, and you want to get out of letting your fears control you. It's too risky. I don't have enough money. I'm going to run out of money. What if I go and do something else and I don't like it? Blah, blah, the list goes on. You got to not let those fears and that negative self-talk and self-doubt control you. Acknowledge it. Know that it's there. Embrace it. Make when I started I literally wrote out, what are worst case scenarios? And you understand them and you digest them and you look at them and feel it. And you realize, by the way, most of the time, it's the worst case scenarios are really never as bad as you think they might be. But do the work, do the exercises, and think about these things and unpack, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel stuck? And that's when you'll start to get into solution mode. All right? Let me know if you have any questions or comments on this. I'd love to hear. If you have more examples of why you feel stuck or stagnant in your career, I want to know. All right, I'll see you soon.